Hi, it's Rich Tehrani with TMCnet. Thanks for watching. We're in Silicon Valley this week. We're having Editors Day 2016, and on our program is Don Reeves. He is with Silver Springs Networks. And how are you, Don?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Thanks for being here. So for those people who aren't as familiar with your company, give us the overview of what you guys do.
Sure. So Silver Spring has been around since 2002, and we are in the what is now called the Internet of Things or Internet of Industrial Things market. We've been focusing in our early part of our career as a company on the smart grid space. So we've got a lot of utilities, both here in the United States and around the world, that we are proud to have as customers. We have over 25 million connected devices around the world.
Wow.
And then we've been expanding out from smart grid into smart city and now the broader IoT space in recent years.
That's great. Very exciting. It's a fast-growing market, isn't it?
It really is. And we feel like we've learned a lot from our time already in the space. Utilities are some of the toughest customers in the world. Right, they have very demanding expectations around reliability, security, ubiquity of coverage, uptime, and indeed we've seen as the years have progressed, the use of our system has expanded with each passing quarter and each passing year. So we think all that experience is going to bode well for us as we then take those lessons learned and apply that to the much broader set of IoT opportunities that are now opening up.
Yeah, well, with this latest DDoS attack, there may be the potential that companies are more concerned about the security of their devices.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that's been a real architectural focus for us since our inception, right? That if you're not thinking about security from the very beginning in terms of how you build your hardware and even how you manufacture your device, then ultimately we think you're likely just to have a doorstop out there in the field at some point. But if you thought about that and you thought about how to securely update your device in the field, and that really is not just the communication side, but also the host device, whether that be an electric meter or anything else, that's just an absolutely critical element of the overall story. And certainly that attack proved, right, that you can take devices that you may not think of as critical assets, but they can be turned toward the bad and be used to attack otherwise critical assets. I've actually been surprised recently, right? There's been some talk about, well, do I need to have security in all my devices in the field? And I think that attack proved that, yes, you do. You really do need to think about it. There's no such thing as all the doors on your house, right? You wouldn't want to put a really high quality lock on the front door of your house and then leave the back door unlocked, right? You want to make sure that they're all protected because ultimately it all connects together.
Yeah, very true, very true. So what other lessons are you learning out there?
Well, certainly ubiquity of coverage is a key one, right? You think about a lot of the existing networks, typically cellular networks, right? And they're amazing networks, right, that have progressed over the years and serve consumers such as yourself, myself quite well. But ultimately, right, there are gaps in coverage, right? And
Sure.
Luckily, if you're a mobile user, well, if there's a gap in coverage, you just walk a few feet. You may move to a different room in your house or a different place in your office building,
Sure.
and you pick up the coverage and it's all fine. But with IoT, right, the devices don't have feet. So you've got to bring the coverage to where they are. And so I think the sort of technology that we have helped to evolve and have embraced a mesh technology is a critical element to providing that ubiquity of coverage. And we've had very good success in connecting everything in the field, right? And there's some pretty diverse topographies to cover, right? There's dense cityscapes where you've got lots of assets, maybe even underground or deep inside of buildings. You've got very sparse landscapes such as the Central Valley of California or the rainforests of Brazil, where you may not have something you want to connect for miles around it, and then you've got kind of everything in between. And so we focused on evolving our technology, blending both the best of what's available in the cellular world, as well as the sort of technology that we bring to bear to provide that ubiquitous coverage.
So specifically, what are you selling? Is it from the sensor to the network management? So go through that. What do I buy from you?
Sure. So fundamentally, we provide a networking platform, and the platform consists of both the hardware to enable the communications and then all the software to manage not only the network, but all the data flowing through that network and the overall life cycle of everything connected. And we provide services for everything from planning the deployment to executing the deployment to actually leveraging and operating the network on an ongoing basis.
Now, what about the wireless networks? Like, do you have, I imagine you work with a range from Wi-Fi to Zigbee to Bluetooth, low energy, things like that?
Correct, yes. So there's not a one-size-fits-all answer there. So, for example, we have support for Zigbee built into our product, into our wireless, we call it a NIC, a network interface card.
Okay.
And actually, one of our customers, Oklahoma Gas and Electric, uses that capability to connect 110,000 of their customers with a smart thermostat in the home. And they're sending pricing signals daily to those customers. And then the cool thing is the customer doesn't have to do anything. The thermostat automatically responds to the pricing signal and adjusts the set points accordingly. The net result is customers save, I believe the numbers are, the residential customer who's enrolled on average saves $150 a year. Commercial customer saves over double that.
And that's one of the few interesting areas where your supplier wants you to use less service.
It is.
It's a really interesting thing because they don't want to build a new, or they can't build a new plant, power plant.
That was exactly the challenge they faced, is they saw this peak demand showing up in the late afternoon as there were still very hot temperatures, so air conditioning was coming online, and people were getting home from work and then going about their evening business of cooking and turning on the TV, et cetera. And so they saw that peak demand growing. And their only other choice was to go build, as you said, additional peaker plants, which would be used just a fraction of the time during the year. And so it's an enormous investment to go ahead and just solve that very specific problem. So instead, for a fraction of the cost of building those peaker plants, they rolled out this technology, and now they're enabling their customers to even save money along the way.
Yeah.
So it's a win for everyone.
It really is. I mean, it's the same idea as, for years, the utilities where we are in Connecticut, and I'm sure nationwide, would pay for your more energy efficient lighting.
Yep.
For the same kind of reasons.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's where approach has got broad appeal. Some of the return on investment there is now limited as you've seen greater penetration of energy efficient lighting and appliances. So now it comes down to how do you really kind of try to shape the customer behavior to align with the realities of what it costs to deliver energy. And there we believe delivering information to the consumer is one of the most effective ways of doing that.
So this has been really interesting, and I think it's helpful, and your products obviously are helping utilities solve problems, and the IoT market's a great area for expansion. If you can please list for us who are the kinds of companies and titles that should be calling you that you can help. So which kind of company, which title?
Sure. Well, so we're obviously already talking to utility customers and cities.
Okay.
So I'd say we'd start there. And
Utilities, smart cities.
And
okay.
when I say utility, it's not just the electric utility; it's also the water utility.
Gas.
Gas, of course. Yes, we've got that in the field. But then we're looking at the broader enterprise space. So manufacturing companies.
Industrial internet.
That's right. And just general enterprises who've got assets out in the field or in their offices that they want to be connecting.
So I apologize if I missed it, but it sounds to me like we're going around, we're sidestepping agriculture. Is that in there?
No, agriculture is absolutely in there. We haven't yet made a huge foray there, but we've done some initial proof of concepts. And we think a lot of the challenges faced by agriculture are the same, right?
Agreed.
Variety of topographies.
Sure.
And really, the need for real-time information is absolutely critical.
How about logistics?
Yeah, that is actually an area we've actually been involved with now for well over a year.
Okay.
So we see that as a very exciting market.
Great. Did I leave anything out? Did we not talk about anything, or are we good?
Well, I think the market is evolving so quickly that it's kind of hard to exclude any particular segment of enterprise, because ultimately I think they're all going to be touched by IoT. It's just probably a question of when they'll be touched and how dramatic the impact will be. But
Which means we need to have you back.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, thanks. And then people who want to find out more about your company will go.
Yeah, www.silverspringnet.com or ssnia.com. And got a wealth of information up there, both about existing use cases, a bunch of white papers around just how to get more up to date on the technology and the challenges. And then, of course, we love for folks to go off and actually talk to our existing customers because they've lived it and breathed it with us. We value them as partners, and they'll tell you everything that you need to know about what it's like to work with us.
Awesome. Thanks for being here today.
Great. Thank you.
That's great.